This video is brought to you by Surfshark, who for years have delivered humanized privacy and security solutions to safeguard your data and privacy online. Virtually travel the world, browse privately by encrypting your internet activity, block ads and malware that get in your way, and much more thanks to their easy-to-use tools. Plus, get an extra 4 months when you sign up using offer code SKILLUP at checkout. More details after the video. All right, look, to set this up, a few important caveats. Number one, and most importantly, this is not a review because the full game is not out yet, so you cannot review it. The Service Slam only had a limited amount of the game's final content, and we know the full release will have more shells, more maps, fully unlocked progression, the list goes on. So this is an impressions video based on about 10 to 12 hours of gameplay with the recent Service Slam, and I remain open to the possibility that my feelings on this will completely change at launch, and honestly, I hope they do, because right now I'm not feeling great. A second caveat is that this is just my opinion, and that caveat is particularly important when it comes to Marathon, because I can tell you right now that there are people who are feeling this. The game is shot up to become the second highest selling game on Steam right after Resident Evil Requiem. The game's subreddit is super happy with the game. Many of the previews are very positive. Across social media, you won't struggle to find positive sentiment towards Marathon. So please do not take this video as me saying Marathon is bad, because I don't think that. I do think it has some problems, but my strongest feelings toward it aren't frustrations with things that aren't working. It's more ambivalence towards the things that are. I've played Marathon on a couple of occasions now, one time at Bungie HQ, again during an alpha test, and now again during this recent Service Slam. I've seen plenty of commentary from people being like, oh, I played it before and it wasn't good, but now in this latest build, they changed heaps of stuff and it's way better. And I just don't really agree with that. I think it's still the same game as it was before. I think it's more polished and it looks better, and the full suite of weapons and items has broadened the moment-to-moment gameplay experience, but as I played it in the past, I kept thinking to myself that Marathon was missing a hook. It was missing a thing to make it really stand out from other extraction shooters, from other competitive experiences. It was missing a thing to make it really stand out as a video game. I don't think Bungie has found that thing yet. From my experience playing this, Marathon is a very competently made, very competitive team shooter set on medium-sized maps, and that's about it. Scanning some of the feedback across social media, it's clear to me that for a number of people, Marathon's focus on being a competitive team shooter is enough, and I would say this: I don't think you can call Marathon generic in the sense that there isn't anything doing what it's doing, at least not quite in the way that it's doing it. Marathon has this unique visual style, it has an aura about it that is distinctive, it has excellent gunplay, it has hero abilities, it has a very granular gearing system that allows you to build towards certain playstyles, it has roaming squads of PvE enemies that will completely truck you if you don't respect them. Taken in aggregate, all of this delivers a very punishing, demanding, challenging, and competitive experience that's ultimately very rewarding if you internalize this challenge and become invested in all of the tiny ways that you can become more powerful and more effective. So I might look at all the work that goes into creating a properly synergized build and think to myself, what's the point if I'm going to lose all that the next time I get sniped across the map? While someone else is going to look at all that work and effort and think to themselves, man, all this gear is going to make it so easy for me to snipe fools from across the map. So have I kind of contradicted myself there? Isn't this stuff I'm describing the hook? I mean, maybe it is, but I think that sort of stuff really only buys you an audience of a certain size, and I don't think Bungie is a studio that is looking to make games for an audience of that size. Certainly Sony did not pay $3.8 billion for this studio to make games for an audience of that size. Bungie is a big legacy studio based in Seattle. They're looking to make games that sell tens of millions of copies, and that's where the hook comes in. It's the thing that tricks people like me into checking something out and or sticking with it. And obviously, our thoughts naturally drift to something like Arc Raiders. Talk about a game with a hook, or hooks plural, the incredible Arc enemies, which were always so fun to fight because of their animations and their weak spots, the engaging quest structure, the distinctiveness of each map and each landmark, such that you truly felt like you were picking through the ruins of an ended world, the organic way that the game fostered communication and collaboration in a genre where kill on sight was the expectation. These are hooks, and the result is that Arc Raiders sold 14 million copies, and right now on Steam, it's still averaging a daily peak concurrent player count of around 250,000 people. In contrast, Marathon was totally free this weekend, and it debuted at 145,000 players on Steam, and then it just trended down after that. It didn't even get a weekend bump. And look, I don't want to make this a straight comparison to Arc Raiders, so let's talk about another comparison, Hunt Showdown. Now, Hunt Showdown has a similarly brutal level of difficulty and a really low time to kill and a tremendous learning curve, but that game has some seriously big-ass hooks. Its suite of PvE enemies are an interesting puzzle to solve and require you to fight each of them in very specific ways. Its streamlined approach to progression and power make it very simple to understand, so you can focus on playing rather than inventory management. Most importantly, its extraction structure is very objective based. There is a boss to kill. It is not easy to kill. You then need to banish the boss, which lets the whole server know where you are, and it's fucking intense. It's like a siege, like barbarians at the gates kind of shit. And then when you're done, you gotta haul ass across the map to extract the bounty, hoping that no one is waiting for you when you get there. It actually feels like a very PvE game loop that just happens to have a PvP element, and it's just brilliant. It really is. In contrast, I remember being on the map in Marathon and we just wiped the team and I'd collected their loot, and I remember thinking to myself, what could I do next that's fun? And the answer was like, kinda nothing. There weren't formidable PvE enemies I could fight who would drop me guaranteed valuable components. There weren't boss enemies that I could fight. There weren't any activatable events that would reward me with great loot. None of my squad mates had any quests that they needed doing. I never encountered other players using proximity chat, so it's not like I could team up with someone else and help them out with something. I don't know that there's any specific rhyme or reason to loot locations, so it's not like I can head to a specific building in pursuit of a specific component, and besides that, there's no crafting in this game anyway, and my ability to buy or trade things is all determined by faction rep. I kind of wanted to leave at that point, but the team I was with clearly didn't, and they were just kind of hanging around the extract zone, refusing to move into the circle, and that's when it dawned on me that they were just happy to extract camp. Because at that point, that's all there was to do, you know? And so that's what we did. We killed another solo player trying to extract, we took his loot, and then we went back to orbit. Now, look, there is counterpoints to all of what I said. Like, yeah, there are quests that you can do, and I'm sure some people are using prox chat, and I know that there are some activatable loot events, like one that involves calling down a chest from outer space or whatever. I think one time I saw an icon on a map that looked like it was a high-level boss enemy, but that was literally once in like 12 hours of play. Maybe there is some structure to where the loot drops, I don't know. But if these things do exist, they certainly weren't surfaced to me as I was playing, and as such, I never felt like Marathon truly wanted me to do anything other than load in and murder as many other people as possible. And for me, that's just not enough, and I suspect it won't be enough for a critical mass of players as well. Now, obviously, there's this other map coming in the full release that's got like raid-like mechanics or some shit, and fair enough, maybe that's amazing, but if that map is so good, and it is the secret sauce that makes Marathon more, if that map is the hook, then I think that in itself is a problem, because you've then got two other maps which I think are pretty sourceless. And this brings us to one of my biggest complaints with Marathon. I really hate Bungie's approach to level design in Marathon. Like, I really don't like it at all. I think it's two things: color and landmark identity. So for the record, I'm actually really into the aesthetic of Marathon. I even like the UI, which a lot of people are shitting on, and I'm not sure why. I think it's broadly fine. But anyway, I think the setting and the factions and this terminal futurism is very appealing, but I think the way that's been translated into the actual game is nowhere near deft enough. I mean, just look at the shell designs, for example. They seem oddly bulbous, and the color texture isn't nearly as sharp as what you see in menus or trailers or whatever. Something was lost from key art to actual in-game character designs. I think something similar could be said of the way color is applied to the world. The first time you experience it, it looks cool as hell, and that's where I was in previous playtests, but the more time you spend with it and the more of the maps you see, you realize that there's really no variation in the way that this color scheme is being applied. Every landmark looks like it's been hit with Homer's makeup shotgun. Without any variation to the way color is being applied, you kind of stop seeing the color. A bigger issue though is the physical level design. There's such an absence of truly unique, immediately identifiable landmarks. It's all man-made structures that are out in the open, completely surrounded by negative space so they can be entered from any angle, and it's boxes and railings and squat buildings and staircases and trucks, and no matter where you are, they all feel the same. It feels like a bunch of multiplayer maps from an arena shooter stitched together, and even that feels generous, because I think most multiplayer maps in most games have more identity than your average Marathon landmark. And let's forget about Arc Raiders or Hunt Showdown for a second, though those two games both provide a masterclass on distinctive landmark design, you can zoom out and talk about the Battle Royale genre. Think about your favorite landmarks in Fortnite or Apex or Warzone or whatever. Whatever you're thinking of, it has a hell of a lot more distinctiveness and identity than any of the landmarks Marathon is currently serving up. Setting aside visual or thematic distinctiveness, the physical construction of these landmarks also lacks any variation. Why am I constantly fighting in what feels like a science lab or an office building? Why is it always small rooms and tight corridors? Where's the crashed spaceship, the shuttle hangar, the runway, the satellite array, the train yard, whatever, man. I just need some different layouts that feel truly different to fight in, because right now they all just kind of look and feel the same. I also think the way that you can enter basically all of these landmarks from almost any direction is a big problem, because it makes your approaches into these spaces less tense, because you can be confident that an enemy can't lock down all entry or exit points, and it also makes it super easy for you to get sniped from afar or get jumped when someone manages a sneaky flank, and that's essentially game over in a game where TTK is this low. It also has to be said that these maps are relatively small, and you're not incentivized to explore them because the loot economy and reward system isn't really set up for that. In Hunt, you have to explore because you need to find where the boss is. In Arc Raiders, you explore because you need to hunt for valuable crafting materials. In Marathon, you just load in and there's one landmark in front of you where you can do a bit of looting to collect some pretty useless loot, and then you're essentially off to chase a team fight over at the next landmark. Exploration is, I think, a really core part of the extraction loop, and Marathon simply doesn't have that. That's why at the beginning of this video, I called this a competitive team shooter, because I think that's a better, more useful way to think about it. Yes, it is an extraction game, but that label is so broad, covering everything from Tarkov to The Division. So setting that label aside, what does it feel like to play Marathon? Well, it has heroes like a hero shooter, it has a really low time to kill like a tactical shooter, it has maps that feel like arena shooter multiplayer maps, it very often doesn't offer rewarding loot from exploration or fighting PvE enemies. The focus of the game is fighting other players, and everything that sits around that is very secondary. That just doesn't get me to the point where I'm into this, and I'm bummed about it because I really wanted to love Marathon. I truly did. This is Bungie's third IP launch since Halo 1, and yes, I know that Marathon predated Halo, but you know what I mean. We had Halo back in 2001, we had Destiny in 2014, and now we've got this in 2026. And while I can see that it's clearly connecting with a number of people, I can also see that it's not connecting with a lot of others. And my argument here is not that Marathon should be a fundamentally different game, because I don't think it should be. I think its core loop is compelling enough for people that are chasing this very specific thing. But I think it needed other things around it. Like, there's no crafting system, there's no social space, there's a complete absence of social interaction when playing, there aren't interesting things to do on the map. If there are boss enemies, I've never fought any of them. You've got this story that's being delivered through some static cutscenes and codex entries, and maybe that's enough for some, but it was never enough for me back in the Destiny days, and so it's not enough for me here either. So yeah, like I said, I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. Please don't assume on the basis of this video that Marathon is bad, or that the vibes are bad, or that this game is doomed or whatever. There is a lot of positive buzz for Marathon, depending on who you ask, right? This is just me being like, I'm not really into this, because I was hoping for Bungie to make a game that feels like a Bungie game, a game that straddles the line between casual and hardcore, that offers a range of experiences rather than just one, a game that looks to move a genre forward rather than just delivering a competent spin on an existing one. As I said at the top, maybe everything I am hoping for is waiting for me in the full game, and I'm really hoping that it is, because right now, I'm just not feeling it. Anyway, that's it from me. I won't be reviewing Marathon at launch, as I'll be headed to GDC, but I do plan to play more of it when I'm back, so do look forward to a full review later in the month. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Watch, shop, and browse where you want to with a selection of online tools that let you take charge of your internet freedom with this video sponsor, Surfshark. It's always the worst when you want to start a show that you've been meaning to watch, only to see that it's geo-blocked to a country you're not in. Surfshark lets you sidestep many of these restrictions with a click of a button, virtually teleporting you all over the world so you can watch or play whatever you please. Online shopping can work the same way. It's summer here in Australia, a great time to travel and relax, so finding a good deal on a hotel or a flight can help keep your mind at ease while you make plans. Surfshark lets you quickly and easily shop shop from a variety of different locations, so you can be sure you're getting a good deal and you can enjoy your vacation to the fullest. In addition to letting you browse the web freely, Surfshark helps you keep your data safer through their vast suite of data protection features. One of their newest is an email scam checker, where Surfshark will scan your emails and warn you if any are at risk of phishing or contain hazardous links. Sometimes it's really hard to tell whether an email is coming from a source that genuinely needs your information or just wants to steal it for malicious purposes. With Surfshark as your first line of defense, you are much safer from these sorts of malicious attacks and scams. It's super convenient since Surfshark can be used on a range of devices from PCs to phones to tablets and more, and their intuitive user interface makes it super easy to use. Sometimes it's as little as one click and you're away. I love it. I would never not have it installed on all my devices. So if you want to check it out for yourself, you can visit surfshark.com/skillup. And if you use offer code SKILLUP at checkout, you'll get an extra 4 months. A great deal for a great product at surfshark.com/skillup. Offer code SKILLUP at checkout for 4 extra months. Thanks Surfshark for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching it.